Hi, I'm Lindsay Burrow. Not long ago, my husband, the rugby league player Rob Burrow, and I made a special podcast series, chatting to other sporting stars. Rob had motor neuron disease and he spoke with the help of an eye gaze machine, but he wasn't afraid to ask the guests some really cheeky questions. Sadly, Rob passed away on the 2nd of June 2024, but I know he'd want you to enjoy watching this podcast too. All episodes of Rob Burrow 7 Meets are available on BBC Sounds. Enjoy.
Joining me in this episode is someone who started off his career as a real-life Billy Elliot. He was scouted into one of the best ballet schools in London and trained there for years. As one of the finest defenders in world football, he has been representing England over 80 times and even led his national squad out as their captain. He was also so in demand at club level, he broke the British transfer record time and time again. I might have to give him some stick though for leaving Leeds United to go to Man U. It's the incredible Rio Ferdinand.
Hi guys, how you doing everyone?
Yeah, really good, thank you. How are you?
I just want to say thank you first and foremost for inviting me on. I was actually getting a little bit kind of feeling left out. I spoke to Wazza the other day and he mentioned coming on the podcast and I thought, okay, where's my call? I don't know, has there been an email been lost or something like that? But luckily enough, one came through. So thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh no, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here. We're so grateful, so thank you.
Cool.
Cheers for being one of my podcast guests. Lindsay is here with me to help me with my gaze machine so I can ask you my questions. As ever, I've got 7 all written and prepared for you. Are you ready?
Yep, let's go. I'm intrigued.
Let's start by talking about the ballet dancing. Was that a career you considered pursuing? Did you ever wear the tights? And is there video footage of this anywhere we can see? And can we expect to see you on Strictly anytime soon?
Right, I'll start back to front with your question. I ain't going on Strictly. You will not see me on there. Although I actually think I would win it. I'm actually quite confident. My kids wouldn't talk to me. They'd disown me, I think, my kids. I've got a 17-year-old and 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And obviously 2 younger ones. But them older ones, I think, will be all over me. So I'll have to give that a pass. I took it up initially just to kind of get off of the estate that I grew up on, just to meet new people. And I kind of just thought, let me just see what it was like. I was always kind of with my mum and dad. They was always like, Red, what's the harm in trying something new? That was always my mum and dad's approach to stuff. So this was another thing. I'd done a lot of, obviously, football on my estate and at school, but I'd done athletics. I went to a drama class every now and again in the local youth club. And ballet was just, someone saw me doing it, doing gymnastics, and said, would you like to come to the Central School of Ballet, one of the best ballet schools in London? And I'd end up getting a scholarship for 4 or 5 years. And it was never going to be a career path for me. I never had that intention. But I just wanted to, I was just curious young person I was. And I've always been curious. And I never wanted to be like pigeonholed or put in a box. Went there, met loads of new people. It ended up being something that really did kind of add to me as an athlete in terms of that strength. And I'd bet that when you were playing, that if I took you down there and a few of your big buddies that you played with, you'd struggle. They'd all struggle. I'm telling you, it is hard. And you look at these ballet dancers, you see the size of their quads, their glutes, they're strong guys and girls. And so it is really a different discipline, but really one that did put me in good stead for playing football with balance and that core strength. And it was quite a smooth kind of athlete and runner and stuff. And I think ballet probably played a part with that. But yeah, there's no footage of me in a tutu.
Oh no, that's a shame. I think we need to sign Jackson up to ballet lessons, Rob. I think that's where we're going wrong, I think.
Yeah, get him doing it. I would never turn your nose up at that, I swear to you.
Let's talk about your football career, because you're one of the most expensive defenders in British transfer history. Leeds United signed you for 18 million in the year 2000 and Manchester United upped it to 30 million 2 years later. How did you mentally cope at that time knowing big money had been spent and you were expected to perform? And what was it like to have to go back to Ellen Road in the wrong coloured jersey afterwards? Do you look back on the decision with any regrets? I mean, you must regret the white suit you wore when you signed for Man United. Even Sir Alex Ferguson ripped you for it.
Oh, I knew there would be a bit of ribbon here with that transfer and my white suit would come into play. You've not disappointed me, Rob. The story of the way it went, and I think it's weird because about 6 months to a year ago, I'd done a game and the Leeds away fans were just in front of me. And I swear to you, I was taken aback by how they're just upset with me, man. They're angry still with me. This transfer was like 15, 20 years ago, and I'm thinking, are you guys still upset about this? I've always said this. I loved my time at Leeds, and I'm 100% respectful of everything that club done for me. Unfortunately, the club was run a particular way that meant that they had to sell all of the assets. And I chose to go to Manchester United because I wanted to win. And they had to sell me. I had to go. So it didn't matter where I was going. I wasn't a local Leeds lad, so I didn't really understand the rivalry. So I chose to go to the best club where I had the best opportunity for me to win, and that was Manchester United. And that decision proved to be right because I was very successful there and won so many things. So it wrecks my head a little bit to see the Leeds fans the way they are. I understand the rivalry, but sometimes you've got to understand the situation and the context. And I think if a few of them stood back and went, actually, it was probably the club we wouldn't have liked him to go to, but we understand it. It was just unfortunate that Leeds was run the way it was at the time. And that determined a lot as to how and why a lot of the players left. And I'm the most nervous both times when I broke the record for the transfer to Leeds and then to Man United. The most nervous I ever was my first training session. Because you know this, Rob, your teammates are the ones that you care about their opinions probably more than anyone. And so that first touch and that first sessions, you're really like, that was the most nervous I feel, where you've got a bit jelly legs, where your legs are all over the place, you can't control them properly, and you're thinking, I've got to really concentrate on my first touch and stuff like that, because I've never felt like this before. But once you get that first session out of the way, things just motor on, and I was very lucky that I kind of hit the ground running with both clubs. The white suit's a different kettle of fish. It was a phenomenal suit, Rob. I'm telling you.
He's only jealous, Rio, because he hasn't got a white suit. So
if you'd have seen it, Rob, I swear to you, you'd have felt it and gone, I can feel it, I can see really why you've got this. It looked better in real life, I'll tell you that. But the manager weren't happy. When I walked in, he went, what have you come as? But the suit probably is as famous as the transfer in the end. I think I'm going to give it to the Manchester United Museum because it gets as many mentions as probably as any of the moments I had in football.
Brilliant. I think you need to put it on your Christmas list, Rob.
Your path briefly crossed with the late great football manager Terry Venables. Can I ask you, Rio, what was Terry like, and do you have any memories you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, Terry Venables was fabulous. Obviously very sad, and condolences go out to his family at his passing. But I had contact with him way before his time at Leeds. When he was the England manager, I was like 15 or 16 years old, and they used to have a thing where they'd let the young kids who they thought were promising players come and train with the England squad. He was the manager of the Euro 96 squad. I stayed there for about 10 days. It was 10 of the best days I'd had of my life at the time, being with the England squad. And he was amazing. He made me feel $1 million. He gave me supreme confidence. I was there as a 15, 16-year-old training with the England first team during a European Championships, like the stuff of dreams. And I remember he pulled me after a training session, and I'd done quite well. And he pulled me in the hallway and said, Rio, like, listen, son, you've got a real good opportunity. Keep working hard. You don't look out of place here. And I was on the phone straight away to my mates. Guys, the England manager says I'm going to make it. He says I'm the man. He thinks I'm unbelievable, like reporting home to my friends. And he just had that way about him that you can imagine a young kid going into a squad like that, very intimidating, but he just put me at ease. And I think that was one of his attributes, that he just made everybody feel comfortable. At Leeds, I didn't really have much time with him, obviously, because when he came in, I already knew that they had to sell me and I was going to go. So I didn't get to be managed by him at club level, but we had some really nice times, to be honest with you.
I asked Wayne Rooney this question when I chatted to him for my podcast, so it's only fair I try and get you in trouble too. Who's been your best teammate throughout your career, and who's been your worst, and why?
My best teammate, who I had the best relationship on the pitch with, was Nemanja Vidic. He was my defensive partner. Me and him played centre-back together, and we dovetailed perfectly well. Our styles blended. Mine and his relationship was something unique. We felt for probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 years that you could feel certain strikers wouldn't really want to play up against us. They knew it was going to be a tough day. That was a real kind of relationship that will last forever. You have a lot of partnerships where I have to be the guy. I want to be the one who's the main guy. And we were really a partnership and a collaboration, really, of trying to be the best partnership rather than the best individual in that. And the worst teammate, I probably had the most arguments with Wayne, to be honest with you. Me and Wayne Rooney probably had the most arguments never come to blows. It was just really on the pitch. We never argued really in training. It was just match day. We probably argued one every 2-3 games in the game. Big, like, effing and blinding, like screaming at each other. Because I wanted more from him, because I knew what he was good at and I knew he could do more, or I just wanted him to be more effective or something. And the biggest thing for me with Wayne, he wanted to play 30, 40-yard passes like Paul Scholes, and he could do it. He was that good. And I wanted him to go and score 30, 40 goals a season because he could. And we played one season and he scored 30-something goals. And he wasn't happy because he wasn't getting involved in the game and being able to dictate games and do loads of passes and get on the ball as much. He was having to play high as a number 9. And I couldn't get my head around it. 30-odd goals in a season, you keep doing that. That's like the top striker. I want you to be that because you can be that. But he loved football that much. He wanted to play football like he was playing in the park and be involved in that. And we used to argue a bit about, like, I'd just shoot. He'd do a great pass and he'd jog into the box and I'd be like, turn and shoot, what are you doing? And he'd scream back at me and we'd go back and forth. But he was, we had lots of arguments like that, but good ones. They're good arguments to have, them ones. I didn't really have I was lucky. I didn't really have teammates who I hated him. Quite lucky.
There was no one you'd sort of dread being in a room with if you were on a tour or away. Would there have anybody? No.
I was really lucky. I was involved in really good squads. The Leeds squad was unbelievable. I've got a WhatsApp group now with the Leeds guys. David O'Leary's in there, Dominic Matteo, Woody, Bo, Jason Wilcox, like all of them are in there. Mark Viduka, Gary Kelly. We're trying to have a link up and meet up and have a few pints and stuff like we used to back in the day, but we haven't managed to do that yet. But so yeah, there's no one in the Leeds squad who even I look at and go, oh, he was an absolute idiot, or West Ham. All good lads. I won't go out for a beer with all of them, but I don't know no one I dislike.
Okay, so we're going to move away from football now and talk about family life.
Yep, good.
You might be aware that myself, Lindsay, and our kids did a documentary recently about living with MND. You yourself have allowed the camera in a couple of times to tell your family's story. It must have been incredibly hard for you to speak so openly about your late wife. Would you mind talking to me about it and how the family coped after her death?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say well done to you, actually, because you guys have obviously been through a lot, and I had complete empathy with what you guys are going through, because we'd been through something different, but there was a lot of similar emotions, I'm sure, in your situation to mine. Difficult topic to kind of broach, because you're laying yourself bare, all of the emotions, and like yourself, Rob, you was looked at as like a bit of a macho, kind of almost an alien, really, that you're impenetrable. You can't be weak and you can't be vulnerable, and everyone expects you to be Mr. Superman. And yourself, the same, Lindsay. Everyone probably thinks that you're meant to be strong, and you just have a blink and just carry on with it and get on with it, and to open your doors to people and to show them all the different emotions that go on and the different scenarios that happen behind the doors when situations like this break out. It's hard to do. It is difficult. But I think that while you're filming, and like this, I don't know, I'd like to get your kind of opinion. When I was doing this, it was a very kind of cathartic experience where I was learning so much about myself, learning so much about my family and ways in which I could help my kids move forward. I think if I hadn't have done the documentary, I don't think I'd be where I am right now with a wife, 2 added kids to the family, because I think I would have got myself in a hole. I needed that exposure to certain situations and certain conversations with therapists and other people that have had experience in this situation for me to make steps forward. Because I think it'd be quite easy to dig a hole and just sit in that hole and not come out and sink into depression and feel like this is me done, I can't move forward. It was a great decision, really. I look back now that I'd done the documentary, because it put a lot of pressure on me to do stuff that I would never have done before.
Yeah, I think that's very similar to us. I think, when Rob was diagnosed, Rob's always been quite a family man, in fact, very private, didn't particularly like the limelight. And so for Rob to open up his doors at a time when he's most vulnerable, I think takes a lot of courage and bravery to do that. And, I think having the kids involved, and I just think the kind of the legacy and showing people, the brutality of living with MND. But I think, for me as a parent, that's the thing I worry about. It's the children and how are they going to cope. And, Rob was given 1 year to 2 years to live when he was diagnosed back in 2019. And, I think that mental toughness and that resilience from sport is, his attitude is I just won't give in. And so I hope our children, will take something from that. And I think the legacy that Rob's creating will hopefully help the children in years to come.
Yeah, and I think also as the kids, one of the biggest things for me, and I think you guys are a great example of that as well, is that kids don't want to be told things. You've noticed 100%. They don't want to be told what to do, how you deal with this, that and the other. They're so much better at seeing it and then learning from seeing. And so for you guys, Rob, yourself, Lindsay, to be showing that resilience, and I'm the same with mine. I showed that resilience. Hopefully that will rub off on my kids, and I can see already with my two older ones, there's a resilience there with them, and there's going to be bumps in the road in their lives, in their careers, that hopefully what we've set down now in terms of showing them how to get through these difficult times, like yourselves, will lead them into good stead and good kind of practice going forward in their lives. So, well, that's the type of stuff that I hope come out of why we open our doors and let the cameras in 100%.
Having been through so much already in life, Rio, what advice would you give to your 7-year-old self if you could chat to them right now?
Good question, this one. Always have the confidence to go and try new things. Because normally the first thing you try your hand at ain't what you're going to end up doing. You've got to try stuff and have the confidence to do that, and don't be scared to dip your toes into different situations and different arenas. Have that confidence, and I think when you're going through life, your life's never going to be straight on the same path the whole way. You're going to have to go in different areas, and so the more you've allowed yourself to be exposed to different situations and different scenarios, maybe different industries, the more equipped you're going to be later in life when it comes to work life and to real relationships and real friendships, etc. That you aren't somebody who's been cocooned and really kind of just pigeonholed and put in a box, and I'm used to this and this is all I know and this is all I can do. The more exposure you give yourself to other stuff, I think the better you're going to be equipped later on in life.
Yeah, really good advice.
You're a tall, muscular bloke, Rio, and I heard after you retired from football that you put down your boots but picked up some gloves to have a blast at boxing. How did that come about, and who would you dream about of being against?
Yeah, I did. You know what it was? Obviously, my wife had died at the time, and someone just come up to me just a couple of months after and said, "Do you want to take up boxing and go from a pro footballer to a pro boxer? No one's done it. Do you want to have a go at it?" And I didn't even think about it. I just went, yeah. And it was like, I started the training. I was training 5 days a week, intense, with Richie Woodall. He was my coach. So I was loving it. I had a ring put in my back garden. I was travelling up to the Olympic Village in Sheffield on a Monday to spar. I took it seriously, man. I really wanted to do it. And then I'd done it for about 5-6 months, and I got to a point where I sparred the last spar, and I was like frothing at the mouth, really, going to the guy, when am I going to get my fight? I need to fight. I'm desperate. I'm ready. And they put my application in, and strangely enough and unfortunately, a guy passed away the weekend that my application went in after a fight. And I think that put the kind of shivers through the authorities to say we can't afford to put somebody in that position, and what if something went wrong, and the repercussions for them as well, also myself. So I actually look back on it now. It was a great experience, but probably a blessing in disguise that I never went through. If it maybe something could have happened, and maybe someone upstairs was looking over me to say, listen, you don't need to do this no more. But it was the nearest I'd got to the adrenaline that I'd felt on a football pitch after sparring. Oh, it's unreal. I loved it. But who I would have loved to have fought, got to fight Tyson Fury. You got to fight the best, didn't we? Yeah, you got to fight the best. Tyson Fury. He would have beat me, I reckon, in a close 12-rounder. In my dreams.
It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. So much fun. Is there anything else you'd like to add or ask me?
No, again, I just want to say thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, guys. Rob and Lindsay, I know you guys are very busy for the 3 kids. But I would like to finish, to be honest with you, on asking you my own question. I used to watch Leeds Rhinos back in the day. I prefer rugby league to rugby union, actually. I mean, I used to see you jinking about and dodging tackles and going under people's legs and stuff. But I'd love to know, who was your hardest teammate and opponent? Because I know, obviously, when I used to watch your team, I used to think like Keith Senior, hard as nails. Jamie Peacock, hard as nails, like 2 man mountains. Like one I see take a punch and he got up straight back up, he was fine. Adrian Morley used to run through people. Kevin Sinfield was obviously a great captain as well. So like, I need to know which of them, who's your hardest teammate or opponent? If I put a bet on, it's Adrian Morley.
Yes, it's Adrian Morley. Good guess, Rio.
How did I know that? This is like, see, you can see I'm a genuine fan, innit? See?
Brilliant.
Thanks for everything. I wish you and your family every happiness for the future.